Once upon a time, long time ago, there was a proud, booming rooster who thought he was the bee's knees. He strutted over to his busy hen, who was scratching in the dirt, and crowed, "Hey, little lady, it's hazelnut season. Let's go to the hill and feast our fill before those greedy squirrels gobble them all up." The hen's eyes sparkled. "Oh, what a brilliant idea. Yes, let's go, darling. We'll have a grand time." So the two lovebirds scurried off to the hazelnut hill. It was a bright, sunny day, and they munched and munched until the sun began to set. Now, whether they'd eaten so much they were too fat to waddle, or perhaps they'd suddenly become too fancy, they absolutely refused to walk home. The rooster, grumbling, had to scavenge for big hazelnut shells and painstakingly build a tiny carriage. Once it was ready, the hen promptly hopped in, settled herself comfortably, and flapped her beak at the rooster. "All right, my dear rooster, now you just need to harness yourself up and pull." "What?" the rooster squawked, his face turning bright red. "Oh, that's a good one. I'd rather walk home than be harnessed to anything." "No, that wasn't our deal. I don't mind being the coachman and sitting up front, but pull it myself? Never." They squawked and pecked at each other, feathers flying everywhere. Right in the middle of their heated debate, a plump, grumpy duck waddled up, quacking furiously. "You thieving rogues! Who told you to come to my hazelnut hill? Well, you're going to pay for it!" And she charged at the rooster, beak wide open. But our rooster wasn't one to back down. He flared his spurs and bravely lunged at the duck, pecking and kicking until the plump duck whined for mercy. Finally, as punishment, the duck reluctantly let herself be harnessed to the little hazelnut shell carriage. So, the rooster, puffing out his chest, sat proudly on the driver's seat, yelling, "All right, duck, go as fast as you can!" The tiny carriage then galloped away down the road. After a while, they met two tired-looking travelers on foot, a pin and a needle. "Stop! Stop!" they cried, panting. "It's going to be pitch dark soon, and we can't take another step. Plus, the road is absolutely filthy." They meekly asked if they could get into the carriage for a bit. Turns out, these two had lingered a bit too long over their beer at the tailor's pub by the gate. Since they were thin little things and didn't take up much room, the rooster kindly let them both hop in. But he made them promise him and his little hen not to step on their feet. Late that evening, they arrived at an inn. Since they didn't fancy traveling further in the dark, and the duck was so exhausted her legs kept wobbling from side to side, they decided to go in. The innkeeper initially grumbled a lot, saying his house was already full and he didn't think they looked like very distinguished guests. But then, the rooster, hen, duck, pin, and needle started sweet-talking him, promising that he'd get the shiny egg the little hen had laid on the way, and that he could also keep the plump duck, who laid an egg every single day. The innkeeper's eyes lit up, and he finally agreed to let them stay the night. And so, they were well served, feasted, and caused quite a ruckus in the inn. Early the next morning, as day was breaking and everyone was still fast asleep, the rooster woke the hen. He brought out the egg, pecked it open, and they ate it together, tossing the shell onto the hearth. Then they crept over to the still sleeping needle, grabbed it by the head, and jabbed it deep into the cushion of the landlord's chair. Next, they stuck the pin into his towel. And finally, without another word, they flapped their wings and flew away over the heath, vanishing from sight. The duck, who preferred sleeping outdoors and had stayed in the yard, heard them leaving. She quacked merrily to herself, found a stream, and happily swam down it, which was a much faster way to travel than being harnessed to a carriage. The innkeeper didn't get out of bed for another 2 hours after all this. He splashed water on his face and reached for his towel. Ouch! The pin pricked him right across the face, leaving a red streak from one ear to the other. Fuming, he stomped into the kitchen, intending to light his pipe. But when he bent down to the hearth, the eggshell darted straight into his eyes. "Everything's attacking my head this morning," he grumbled, angrily flopping down onto his grandfather's chair. But he instantly shot back up, yelling, "Woe is me!" for the needle had pricked him even worse than the pin, and definitely not in the head this time. Now he was absolutely furious. He immediately suspected the guests who had arrived so late the night before. When he went to look for them, they were long gone. The innkeeper then swore he would never again take in any more ragamuffins into his house, for they eat a lot, pay for nothing, and play mischievous tricks as a thank you on top of it all. That brings us to the end of our feathered friends adventure. If you loved this story, remember to like and subscribe, and join us for more enchanting tales.